Hi everyone, this is Sakshi Mandhyan, your happiness coach and psychologist. We are here again with another episode on the learning from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and today's topic is adapt or perish. Like we all know, that the change is the only constant, and we keep on changing, ever changing, and then the environment also keeps on, developing and building, evolving. So we thought that why not pick up this topic, which is a very relevant topic for our day-to-day routine. I have experienced a lot of changes, especially during this COVID time, both in my environment and the environment outside, with the corporate world and individually when I saw my clients. So today is the time when I asked Papa about this pertinent topic. And Papa, does Bhagavad Gita guide us about how to adapt to an ever-changing world?
Yeah, Sakshi, uh, it is very clear that change is a world, system. Change is something which is the only constant. And although Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita did not expressly say that change is the only constant, but when we look at various verses in chapter 2 particularly, which is verse 13 to 16, verse 14, the implication is that the change is inevitable. And when Arjuna was, very much perplexed and did not want to fight, Lord Krishna told him that the nature, the nature has a deeply willed system wherein things would keep changing. He actually makes a mention that the way we have a summer and a winter weather, nobody can stop it. Similarly, everything changes the very next moment, as we have also found in the Buddhist philosophy, which says the law of momentariness. No one thing remains the same the very next moment. So when he is trying to tell Lord Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna about this, he says that change is inevitable. Don't get unnecessarily bewildered with the change. And in the best way that a person should conduct himself, change has to be taken in one's stride, and accordingly, adaptation is to be made. Now, in our everyday life also, don't we adapt to, say, changing weather? When it is cold, we go for our winter clothes. When it is summers, we are in our t-shirts and all that. So adaptation is in our nature, but then the adaptation that we are talking about is much deeper, which is changing circumstances, changing environment, and how does one conduct oneself. And this is about what we are discussing today.
Brilliant, Papa.
Yeah.
So how does a person handle this ever-changing world?
Sakshi, it is a very difficult project, but as Lord Krishna has mentioned, and which actually is his principle or the most popular, teaching in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which we normally recite as Karmanya Vadikaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachana. So in chapter 2, verse 47-48, actually the whole scheme of things that he is trying to explain there replies your question. So what he says is that you should remain steadfast. Whatever you are doing, any job at hand, is to be actually handled with total commitment and with no feelings about what the results are going to be, because the moment you start thinking about the results, etc., your involvement in what you are doing actually gets impacted. So the best way you can handle change is to be away from a situation where you start experiencing the ill effects or the good effects of any change. Remain steadfast. Whatever you are doing, keep doing it. And in the long run, you will find that the changes that would come would no more be irritant, but they would be taken as an opportunity to improve yourself and improve your performance in whatever work you are indulged. This is how it works.
Okay, so basically we build a value of commitment,
Yeah.
and also avoid thinking about results or
Yeah,
the outcome.
yeah.
And once we are committed, it automatically helps us or motivates us to adapt.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, Papa, how does an average person embrace change?
Okay. Now, there is a two-way approach in embracing change. As we have already discussed, change is something we have no control over. Okay, so changes would occur. The best we can do is to negotiate these changes in such a way that not only we don't lose balance in our approach and we reach the destination that is there for all of us. Now, when I said the two-pronged approach, the first is, and as Lord Krishna very clearly told Arjuna also, don't be aloof from change. Keep involved with the change. So, the first thing is acknowledge change. Yes, acknowledge, yes, changes are taking place. And participate in that change. And not only participate, you sow fresh seeds. And when I say fresh seeds, actually these are the fresh efforts being made by you in the midst of all the flux that you are in. So you are unmindful of the changes, you are going ahead with your work, and at the same time you are planting new seeds. And this is the first step. The second step, which is very difficult in practical sense, is as we grow in whichever work we are in, we would continuously face losses. Now these losses are, for example, if I talk about the personal life, say loss of a beloved, loss of a family member, loss of reputation. In the business sense, loss of the business, the turnover, loss of a monopolistic, status that you always enjoyed. Now these changes would always emerge. But the best thing is that we should lose everything gracefully. When I say lose everything gracefully, then comes the concept of gratitude, which means if I lose a family member, I should be grateful to the Almighty that still I was granted so many years or decades with that family member. If I have performed very well in my business, I should be very, very happy still losing that business that I had those successful years. And this gratitude shall give me the strength of realizing that the plants that I have, just seeded, planted, the seeds that I have just planted, these, seeds are going to make way for my, next phase of life. So I am being very practical. All that happens is willed. All that happens is happening because the change is inevitable. Since I have been well trained, I don't mind. I take everything in my stride. I am focused on my job, and I am very sure that my fresh efforts, they are going to actually make up for whatever reversals or losses I might have faced.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's a very valid point. I think this just got stuck in my mind. Lose gracefully.
Lose gracefully, yeah.
This is a beautiful.
It is very difficult to lose gracefully. And since I've been a sportsman all my life, I think the best you can do is to go and pet, somebody who you have lost from. I think that actually generates such a great amount of positivity, and it applies everywhere, even in business, in family matters, everywhere.
Absolutely. I think that makes sense. I was in fact thinking about my life and my journey and how many times I have cried when something has gone away from my life, be it a materialistic thing or a person.
It is quite natural. Anything. But with training, I think we can control such situations.
True. So Papa, this was amazing. This was great till now. But do we have examples from corporates or organizations, companies who have adapted to changes and survived?
Yeah. Now we have hordes of examples of firms or companies who, when challenged by changes or situations, adapted very well and made it bigger than where they were. And we also have some cases where because of some oversight or maybe some reckless behavior or not adapting when required, many popular companies, they are no more there. So if I could take some examples of the winners first. So look at Amazon. Amazon started as an online bookseller in a garage, and now it sells almost everything online. It is the biggest online retailer in the world. You look at Apple, how well they have with every generation of their gadgets, they have actually outsmarted the whole world, and they have never become irrelevant ever. They remain the biggest, they remain the biggest company. Similarly, Yellow Pages. Now, Yellow Pages used to be, every UK households must have, address and telephone directory for more than 50 years. But if you go now and you find that with the technological changes, now they have become digital and they are equally efficient and equally popular. So these are companies which adapted to challenges and made sure that despite the changing times, changing expectations of the clients, and why go that far? Even in India, if you look at this this Cult Fit, this organization, which is a chain of gymnasiums, a very popular network where my wife also goes regularly. Now this used to be very smart gymnasiums with very good instructors, and the gymnasiums would have thousands of members thronging it on a daily basis. But come COVID, and we find that since all gymnasiums were closed, didn't mean that Cult.fit became obsolete. What they did was they adapted so fast that Cult.live, they came out with that, and instead of my wife now going out, I find her doing exercise in our own living room. So, and it is happening to thousands of subscribers. So the moment you adapt to change, and now I'm very sure with the Omicron and pandemic getting away, there is a very high possibility that their membership would become manifold, because the physical as well as digital or online, both of them are going to be running together, and they would have in the bargain become bigger than what they were before COVID. Now this was about the successful players. There have been some stories where people did not acknowledge change, did not change themselves, and had to suffer badly. I'm reminded of BlackBerry. I think just a few years back, it had more than, I believe, 80 million subscribers, and it was in everybody's hand. BlackBerry Messenger and stuff like that was very popular. But since they did not adapt to the requirements of the times, they are nowhere. Think about Kodak. Kodak was, king of photography, and the Kodak movement was something which was a very popular statement. But Kodak did not, adapt to the digital times, and they are nowhere now. Think about Pan Am. It was the biggest airliner of US, and since they did not also, they invested completely into their existing business, did not spare a single penny for future planning and all that. And the moment they were hit by, say, COVID or rest of the things, they have suddenly found themselves, going so much down compared to the rest of the airlines. So what I'm trying to say is that not only in our individual lives, but in the lives of the firms and organization also, we find that situations change, challenges become different, sometimes graver, and I think it is the organizations which adapt fast or maybe anticipate better than others, that they are able to not only carry on with the same strength and everything. In most cases they become bigger than where they were before they actually took to this change. So this is how a very, very important message given 5,000 years ago, it is still so much relevant. When Lord Krishna said all these things, he probably didn't have, although he was all powerful, he had everything in his mind. But just imagine the Amazons or the Googles or the even Facebook has gone through so much of changes. So I think such golden words said 5,000 years back can still inspire the present day firms and organizations. And we have already discussed how it can impact individuals. Now we have discussed how it can help firms and organizations. I'm very sure if one goes through this, the training that we have discussed in the earlier part of the discussion, I'm very sure the organizations which are run by individuals only, okay, so if an individual becomes equipoised, his or her firm or organization is also going to be equipoised and become larger and bigger and more successful.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this was wonderfully covered, Papa. And in fact, even in psychology, when I take my own lectures and I talk about different topics, in one such session, I also spoke about adaptability, and I was saying that Charles Darwin usually spoke about, he mentioned that it's the survival of the fittest,
yeah.
right? But in today's time, it's not the survival of the fittest, but it's the survival of the most adaptable.
Yeah.
So I have
So we have
been
another
speaking
Charles
this.
Darwin in the making. Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So you're very right. You are very
yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah.
the survival of the most adaptable in today's time, and
Yeah.
we individuals and organizations can take a lot of inspiration from here today and learn how to lose gracefully, adapt, and evolve with time every day.
Yeah. So I think it has been a brilliant discussion, Sakshi.
Absolutely.
And we are going to have many more such sessions in the weeks to come.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Please take care.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much. Take care.